Wow. This is my second workshop. I saw you a year and a half ago in Sedona. I imagined myself in the back. I felt intensity. I sent it up to you, and you immediately picked me. When I came here, I was like, all the questions I have, I've listened to enough of the CDs that I kept answering them. You were in my head, so I was like, other people will ask, but if there's something that other people need to hear, I'll share that. And just now, I had the thought that I'd be first. So I was like, okay, I'll try it. And just real casually, you picked up on that. I appreciate that you really are in vibrational. I'm sorry I'm rambling, but I wanted to share that.
Well, we are happy to participate in the confirmation of the power of your thought.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thank you.
Seriously, because that is the strongest question that is bubbling within you all day, every day. You are a deliberate creator and want to know that. And the question that we hear most often is about the power of your own thought. And so what could be better than for you to direct thought and for us to receive it clearly and acknowledge to you that we have?
Thank you. The thing that's been troubling, as I'm learning this, I almost feel like I'm afraid to be sad. Like when negative emotion comes, instead of before where I didn't know, I'd let it run its course. Now there's like this, I can't be sad, I can't be sad, I can't be sad. And so I'm working, trying to get out of it. And a lot of times it works, but...
Fortunately, you live in an environment where there's a buffer of time so that your thoughts don't instantaneously manifest. So you've got time to cheer up. In other words, it's not like sad dead. The other thing that we want to say about that is that, now, we're going to appeal to your logic again. If that were the perspective of the source within you, no one would ever come forth to the leading edge of thought. In other words, you didn't say, I'll go forth into physical, but before I get there, clean up anything that would bother me. Because I only want to look around and find things that make me feel happy. And you will never hear us tell you that we think it's a good idea that you put Novocaine in your fingers so that when you touch the hot stove, it doesn't bother you. Oh, good. Yesterday this would have really hurt. Not today. Don't really like the odor, but other than that. In other words, we want you to embrace your emotions because your emotions let you know. First of all, when you feel negative emotion, it always means you're launching rockets because you're exploring contrast. We just don't want you to linger in the sadness. We want you to be able to be out in the world and to see things that you don't want or that you don't like, because only in the seeing those could you launch a rocket of improvement about what you do want. We just want you, as quickly as you can, to turn your attention in the direction of what feels better. Do you know that the only bondage that exists is that self-inflicted bondage of having habits of thoughts upon things that hurt when you think about them? And you might be recalling some time before you were so aware of being a deliberate creator that you focused upon things that hurt you. And when your energy is moving as fast as your energy is moving, you've got a fast moving stream. When you focus upon something in opposition, you're going to feel it in a keen way. But don't worry about that. Just in the moment that you are aware that you're doing it, do your best to lift off that thought and find one that feels better. In time, you will come to recognize that nothing can ever hurt you because you have the power to focus wherever you want to focus. And there are plenty of others outside of you. We refer to them as the peanut gallery, not to be disrespectful, but to disrespect them. No, wait. Just to get your attention about where they fall in terms of importance between your thoughts and their thoughts. Many people who are watching from the outside want to evoke those painful feelings within you, because many people have learned that they can control you through your discomfort. But for someone like you, who was born, you hit the ground running, you've lived contrast and you've got your stream moving really fast, and now you're consciously aware of the difference between alignment and not, you can never again focus for any length of time on something that is upstream and not be aware of it. And that's the most important thing. Now you're aware of it, now you have an option. So we've been saying to people for a long time, If you've got some negative emotion and you don't notice it, so you don't do something about changing the thought, don't worry, it will get bigger. And if you still don't do something about it, don't worry, it will get bigger. And this is why it gets bigger. So let's say you're focusing upon something that you don't want, which causes you to send off a rocket of what you do want. So right away, there's this contrast within you that you can feel the tension of. So when you look toward what you want, you feel greater ease. When you look back at what you don't want, you feel greater discomfort. So let's say that you're like so many people, you've got this habit of beating the drum of what's wrong. So you beat that drum a little longer. Well, you beat that drum a little longer, you just send off another rocket about what you do want, which makes your stream go faster. But you still got this habit of beating this drum. Well, you beat this drum a little longer, you send off another rocket, which makes this stream go faster, but you still got this habit going on. So the more you focus upon what you don't want, the faster you make your stream go. But the more you focus upon what you don't want, the more you don't go with the faster moving stream. That's why it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. We want to say to you, don't worry about it. You know too much for it to ever get big enough for there to ever be really negative repercussions. As long as you say, I don't like this feeling and I'm going to do something about it, and then you change the pattern of thought. Just don't listen to the people that are trying so hard to get you to look at everything that's wrong with the world. Do you know, if your news media would give you an accurate accounting of the news in proportion to what's going on in the planet, so that the good news and the bad news are accurately reported, you'd see something go across your screen that would go zzz. You'd say, what was that? That was all the bad news from all around the world today.
I used
in
to work
proportion
in the news.
to what's going on. Just the fact that your sun comes up every morning is worth so much more than all the bad news. Just the fact that the water stays on your planet and the seeds continue to grow. The vibrational difference between hope and fear is the difference between recovery or not. The vibrational difference between hoping for something and being afraid of something is the difference between letting yourself have your recovery or not, you see. So it's an important thing that you're asking. You say, I'm afraid I'll be sad, but you know what? Fear is worse. I'm afraid. We know that you're not really afraid, but what you mean is, I don't want to be sad, and we don't want you to be sad either, but we don't want you to fear being sad. We want you to say, my emotions are so good, and when I feel strong negative emotion like fear or despair or even sadness, when I feel those negative emotions, it's telling me two really important things. One is, my stream's really moving fast that way. I really want something in direct opposition to what I'm focused upon right now. Those are the two things. I really want that, and I'm focused here.
I'm getting something, and I want to make sure that I got this correctly. If I'm in a negative place where before I felt like I needed to hurry and go with the stream, I can stay there for a second. The stream can get faster, and I will release when I feel.
And do you know, this is interesting. The longer you stay, your words, in a negative place, the longer you stay in a negative place, you're really going to like this, the faster your stream moves. So that when you do figure out how to let go of those oars, you're going to move quickly in the direction of what you've been asking for. A lot of you are living like that, and frankly, we think you like the drama of it.
I might be guilty of that.
What you really planned, what you really intended was, I'll mix it up a little, I'll want it, and I'll know what I don't want, I'll know what I do want, and then I'll receive it. And then I'll have a new vantage point, and then I'll know what I don't want, and then I'll know what I do want, and then I'll receive it. And then I'll know what I don't want, and then I'll know what I do want, and I receive it. But drama is fun, we get that. In other words, we know. Esther will say to Jerry, she said to him recently, as they were driving past a beautiful car at a car dealership, I think you should buy that for me. It would make me happy for the afternoon. Because when you become accustomed to feeling good, you don't have that pathos that some of you sort of like. In other words, while you say, I'm afraid that I might feel sad, we say, most of you are afraid that you'll feel numbness. And we say, oh, wouldn't it be too bad to get numbed into bliss, would it? This we promise you. Life will never stop giving you a reason to want beyond where you are. And when you've discovered the deliciousness of turning in the direction of what you want, so that the inspiration is calling you all the time, that is a sort of riding a wave that is beyond verbal description. We promise you, you won't miss the pathos of negative emotion in your life experience. There are a lot of people who, even with the word want, when we use the word want, we mean desire. And we know technically that want can mean desire something I don't have. I'm wanting for it. But it's just semantics. So some people say, I want that, and they feel blissful in it, like a child who hasn't been taught that she can't have everything she wants, loves wanting. But when you want something and it's laced with doubt, now that wanting is sort of icky. I want it, but doesn't feel nearly as good as I want it and. I want it and it's coming feels far different than I want it, but I can't see how it's going to come. So many people equate the feeling in their belly of wanting something with that yearning, that they don't even quite yet know what the freshness of pure desire feels like, you see. And really, that's what we heard from you when you said, I don't want to be sad. What you're saying to us, even though you're using that terminology, is I want to be a vibrational match to the freshness of who I really am. I want to be who I am. I want to see the world through the eyes of Source. I want to feel the world through the eyes of Source. I want to experience life from my tuned in, tapped in, turned on perspective. And that's what we want for you too.
Just restate it differently.
Say, I don't want Novocaine in my fingers, and I don't care if something makes me sad because I know what to do about it. I know what to do about it. We want you to be satisfied with where you are and eager for more. And some would say, well, that sounds like a contradiction. How can you be satisfied but still want more? And we say, because you're eternal. You have to leave elbow room for the expansion, which is inevitable, you see. So when you get to that place where you're not sad, but you're satisfied, in other words, even satisfied in your sadness, think about that. It's good that I have negative emotions sometimes. It keeps me knowing where I am. And there's plenty of thoughts that I've thought along the way that I can't possibly bring them all up to date. So things are going to keep popping up. And as they pop up, I'm going to find a new way of looking at them. Jerry and Esther were in a restaurant in a truck stop the other day. They picked up their new bus, and it's in the parking lot. Did you see it? And as they were having a meal, Esther looked around, and she saw so many hard-working people. All around her, hard-working people. One man was so tired, he was holding his head with one hand while he ate with the other. And for a moment, Esther felt sad. She just couldn't look at it without feeling sad. And then she thought, these guys are free. If I wasn't doing this work, I'd be a truck driver. I love the road so much. Nothing is more exhilarating than to get out on the road on a beautiful day like this. It's fun to have some place that you want to be, some place that's calling you. And her sadness went right away. They're independent contractors. They're working the way they want to. They're in charge of their lives. I've never met one that was not pleasant when I engaged them. They are kind to me when we are at the fuel bays. They've taught me the ropes of the moving around the truck stops. They give me mostly thumbs up. They're reaching to feel better. And Esther talked herself right out of her sadness, right into connection, and the guy was still sitting there holding his head with his hand, you see. What you're really getting at is you want control of the way you feel without conditions having to change. And since you can't control conditions, most of you feel vulnerable about the way you're going to feel because there are conditions out there that if you focus upon them, you're going to feel bad. And there's plenty of people in the world telling you you should focus upon those sad conditions and you should feel sad. And we're here to tell you, you can't help but see some of those negative conditions, and you will feel sad when you focus upon them, but when you do, you'll send off a rocket of desire. And when you turn your undivided attention to the rocket of desire, you will make the world a better place. And that person living that bad experience and your bad feeling response to it, which was all part of your giving birth to the improvement, and then your willingness to give your undivided attention to the improvement, that's the way you help the world be uplifted. You never uplift the world when you feel sad, but maybe sadness is the first step in you helping the world.
Because now I'm aware.
Because sadness was the contrast that helped you take step one. And without step one, you can't take step two. Step two is Source answering it, not really your step to take. Step three is your step. Step 3 is where your work must be. But never say, I don't want to take step 1, because that would defy your reason for coming forth in this leading edge experience. You came as step 1ers, and we're trying to get you to be step 3ers more than step 1ers, because the step 1ing happens without your conscious awareness of it. The step 3ing is where all of your work lies.
I have one other question that I feel burning, that I feel other people would want asked. Otherwise, I'd get down. I don't mean to monopolize the time, but...
Don't need to justify being here.
Oh, fair enough. As I learn this, and I indoctrinate myself as much as I can, I have it on my iPod, I have it in my car, I am working to do this. I run into people, family members, friends, and I hear them say things, I hear them shoot themselves in the foot, and my heart just aches, and I want to share it. And the last time I sat in front of you, you warned me. You said, don't push this on others, because then you create your way of thinking, your religion, it sucks like everyone else, and your words. And
strange, we don't remember that.
I have the CD, I listen to it often, but what was interesting is as I played it for someone, it's kind of like the person listening said, like, wow, she kind of smacked you. It was a humble, and I felt that, and I have noticed so many times I want to share with people, and there's negative. I'll give them a CD or something, and they won't listen to it, or I'll share it.
Here's the thing. When someone's life is not going well, that's not the right moment to tell them they are the creator of their own reality. And
okay.
What's happening to you is, you see, what's happening is, in their struggle, you're hearing asking. And as Source does, in other words, in their struggling, they're sending all kinds of rockets of desires over there into their vibrational escrow. And so they don't need you to do their asking, and they have their own source that's calling them toward it. So the question that we want to put to you is, did you understand the story that we told? Your source energy, you come forth, you explore contrast, you give birth to rockets of desires, and then the source within you calls you toward it. You get that picture. So here's the impertinent question that we're going to put back to you as we smack you this time.
Okay, I'm ready.
If Source can't get them to listen, what makes you think you can?
Ouch.
In other words, they are where they are, and where they are is all right. But so what happens, if you focus upon them, you see, here's what happens. You're really going to like this.
Okay.
Ooh, this is the best we've ever given about this particular thing. You really are going to like this. So let's say you're watching someone struggling in their life, and they're launching all kinds of rockets of desires, but they're depriving themselves of their own expansion because they're fixated on what's gone wrong. So now you're watching them. And in your watching their contrast, you're having contrast because you care about them. So as you see someone living what you know they don't want, you're putting your version of them in your vibrational escrow. Did you hear that? You care about them. You're putting your version of them in your vibrational escrow. So you've got a new and improved person over here. They're feeling good about themselves. They're prosperous. Their relationships are going better. You gave birth to it by watching the contrast. You built an image of them that your source within you is holding to. And now you're observing them in the mess of a life they're living. You're not up to speed with what you've put in your vibrational escrow about them. And the reason you're so annoyed at them is because if they'd just clean it up, then you could see them as you want them to be. That's so big. Did you get it? Do you understand that the reason that you feel bad when you see other people not doing well is because every fiber of your being wants wellness for them, and when they're living the opposite of it, then you're using them as your excuse not to close the gap and not to be up to speed with who you are. So what you do is, so let's say you're watching someone, they're struggling. And you've watched them long enough that you've built a pretty good vibrational escrow about who they are. And this is what you wish for them. And this is what the larger part of you is holding to vibrationally. And now you see something and you wince because it makes you feel sad, because it's different from what you want to see. But you recognize the emotion, and you know now that all that means is you're looking at the current version of them instead of the real version of them. You're looking at where they are instead of where they are going. So you turn your undivided attention, Jesus said turn the other cheek, you turn your undivided attention to what's in your vibrational escrow about them. Now, a mother said to us one day, my son will feel that I'm forsaking him if I don't give my attention to his problems. And we say, no one will feel like you don't care about them if you're focused upon the improvement of their life. So now you start developing these patterns of thoughts about them. You start seeing them as successful. You start seeing them as having better timing. You start seeing them as being on time for things. You start seeing them as thriving because you don't want to be sad, and you care about the way you feel, and you've got a choice of the sad version of them or the happier version of them, and over time you train yourself into the happy version of them. So your expectation of them becomes this. And now, law of attraction can only rendezvous you with them when they are somewhere in the vicinity of that which you are, which they often are. And now when you say something, they'll hear it because they're within vibrational range, you see. Did you hear that?
Yes.
So big. Now let's play it the other way just to make sure you heard it. Let's say that all of that's been happening. You've been creating this version of them little by little by little of what you really want, but they are living so emphatically where they are that it keeps sucking you in. So instead of training yourself over here like you want to, you've let them sort of train you over here. And so your expectation of them is over here, where they are and don't want to be, and where you don't want them to be, rather than over here, where they want to be and where you want them to be. So here you are, focused upon that. You got to ask yourself, what am I doing over here? Law of attraction has me rendezvousing over here instead of over here. What's up with that? In other words, this must be the most active vibration within me about them, you see. Every subject is two subjects, what's wanted and lack of it. And you can tell which end of the stick is most practiced within you by which end keeps showing up the most, you see. So in time, you'll be able to say to your friend, I've loved being involved with you. I've watched you in your struggle like we all do. And as I saw your struggle, I saw so clearly who you really are. And I held my undivided attention on who you really are. And who you really are is so great. And I appreciate my exposure to you because you actually helped me to train myself to see what I really wanted to see in my object of attention, you. And in doing so, you were a good test for me, you can say to them, because you showed me so much stuff I didn't want to see that I had to really focus to see what I did want to see. And in doing so, I was able to see not just you, but a whole lot of other things through the broader perspective. And by the time you're telling them that, they'll be understanding it perfectly, you see. Here's something that you may have heard in your physical vernacular for some time. A person will rise to the level of your expectation. You just got to ask yourself, where have you trained your expectation? Have you trained it as to what you want to see, or are you letting the current reality train your expectation? It's a big difference between deliberate creation and creation by default. You can see who they really are, who they have become, or who they are. That's why it feels so big, you see.
I know you feel my appreciation.